Alright everyone, Kilauea is erupting in Hawaii, and a lot of people who don't appear to understand geography or geology are very, very afraid. The first thing I was seeing days ago on sort of the weird side of YouTube is, it's imminently going to have a steam event and a huge chunk of the island is going to go flying off into the ocean, causing like an 80-foot wall of water to hit the west coast of the US, wiping out Hawaii, hitting parts of the Pacific Rim in general. And I'm sitting there like, okay, yeah, that's really going to happen. There's no evidence that that's a common occurrence. Kilauea has erupted before. It is an active volcano and has been all along. The biggest threat currently at Kilauea is that it undergoes a large enough steam event to send massive multi-ton boulders flying miles through the air and basically destroys everything within some miles of radius. It's entirely possible, by the way, that'll happen, and it would be catastrophic. It would rip an enormous gash in that fucking island, rendering a large proportion of its entire land area uninhabitable, at least temporarily. There's when I was studying the archaeology of the Caribbean, there was one island down there. I can't remember which one it was. It was the one that's sort of egg-shaped. They had a volcanic eruption, and only the little piece of the northern coast, which is inhospitable, it's like wind-blasted and dry and just a shitty place to be. You can't really farm it, it's shitty soil and stuff. Most of the arable, like, actually humid, nice, green part of the island was totally buried in volcanic ash. And it'll be 100 years before it reforests. They ended up, the international community had to come in and set up, like, basically a ghetto on the northern edge of the island once the active volcanic eruption was done. And the people there, they're, like, miserable. It's, like, no jobs. It's like, our culture's basically fucked. Screw us in the ass. I think it's owned by the UK, the specific island. But Kilauea, all it has to do is send up a little cloud and people are like, oh, it's the end of the world as we know it. This happened like with Yellowstone or something. It's like, oh, the ground rose 2 millimeters at Yellowstone. We're all going to die. Totally abnormal. There were earthquakes in Oklahoma. It's a new rift is going to open up. A huge volcanic crater is going to appear in the middle of Oklahoma and the whole U.S. will be destroyed. It's like, no, it's due to fracking. It's also starting to slowly die down now that I think they stopped some of the fracking injection sites, which basically proves that that's what caused it. Even if fracking is good for energy development, it appears to have been pretty bad to do it specifically in that location. And a lot of damaged homes, considering none of them were built with earthquakes in mind. You go from having 2.0 every year to having, 10 of them in a single day. It's going to wear down your foundation and your walls a little bit. I'm surprised there haven't been, like, collapsed buildings. But Kilauea, it's not Yellowstone. It's not Toba. It's not going to cause the end of the world. Some people are like, oh, the massive tsunami will wipe out Los Angeles and San Francisco and San Diego. Everything else on the coastal Pacific that's below 100 feet will be completely destroyed. No, I think the biggest risk as far as geology goes at the moment with anything that's of a volcanic or seismic nature is really off the coast of like Washington State and Oregon. There is an active fault that appears to be reawakening there, and if it pops off a big one, yeah, that will kill millions of people. It's not going to be Kilauea probably that does it. If it did, it would be like, the news of the century, but it's just not likely. What was that one volcano that time? Not that many years ago that exploded back in part of Indonesia. I think it was around 2004 or 2005. I can't remember the name of it. The last really big one, though, really is the quake that caused the Fukushima meltdown. That was, tens of thousands of people, actually I think hundreds of thousands died, all told, and it was, a catastrophe. I don't think that's likely in Hawaii, but the second problem is that a lot of people seem to think Hawaii is one island. It's not, it's an island chain. This volcano is not posing a threat to the other islands. It really isn't. It's not going to kill people who are 200-300 miles away down the chain. It's just not going to happen. You're assuming, I guess, that the entire active volcano explodes and vaporizes so that for miles around the entire ocean flash boils or something. And no, it would go off if there were a steam event. Potentially with the force of an atomic bomb. Oh, it'd be a sight to behold, it'd be massive. But it wouldn't go off with the force of the Tsar Bomba, now would it? They're a little bit different. It's like when you criticize people who don't know the difference between an atomic weapon and a nuclear weapon, like a fully modern hydrogen bomb, usually they don't understand it. They just think a nuke is a nuke is a nuke. They couldn't be more wrong. The same is true with regards to a volcanic or a seismic event. There's a big difference. It's like there's a huge difference, literally an order of magnitude, if you know, But I think 10 orders of magnitude, actually, between a 5.0 and a 6.0 earthquake, for example. So those numbers, a lot of people think it's a totally linear scale, and it's not. With a volcanic event, there's a big difference, again, between Kilauea and a supervolcano. There's a big difference. No, this is not a world-ending event. It's sort of like when a 10-foot wide chunk of rock hurtles past Earth, people think the sky is falling. A comet's going by, it's going to bring the plague or something. It's like, it's funny to think about, like, catastrophic scenarios, like zombie apocalypse and stuff. But if you're going to make up, like, what amounts to basically fan fiction about Kilauea killing 100 million people, please at least understand the geography of Hawaii a little, because I'm seeing these news stories where people who live in Hawaii, they're like, oh, I appreciate your concern, but I'm not on the same island. So you're saying, you'll be safe, and it's like, oh, please stay away from the volcano. It's like, yeah, I'm 200 miles away. What are you talking about? I'm 200 miles away and 1,000 feet above sea level. I don't think that I have to worry about a tsunami, even if it is 80 feet tall. It's just funny, because I see this stuff, and even the lamestream media, like you see like Newsweek, they're like, oh, eruption imminent or something. It's like, yes, the eruption is currently happening. You're acting as though a separate explosive event is imminent. And so the way they even phrase their news stories, and this is the mainstream media doing this. It's not just the weird side of YouTube or some, tinfoil hat blogger. This is, elements of the maybe tabloid-esque side, but the mainstream media. Oh, wait, that's redundant at this point. Saying basically an eruption is imminent, and they don't even take stock of the warning level, which is red. It's the highest warning level. The eruption is already happening. There's an ash column over 10,000 feet tall wafting out of the fucking volcano. It's already erupting. There are already boulders being spewed out of it. Rocks the size of basketballs flying a mile through the air. Yeah, you shouldn't get near Kilauea at the moment. It would be dangerous. And these fissures opening up all over the area, swallowing roads, causing, steam to rise out of the ground and generally making life miserable. There's lava flowing from the crater. Yeah, it's an active site. You live near an active volcano. Some people go, oh, my home got destroyed and stuff. It's like, you chose to live near an active volcano. Are you fucking insane? They should set up a no-go zone around these areas. Look at where the ash has flowed before, and rope these areas off and say, hey, we'll pay you to move your fucking home. We'll come in with a crane and literally lift your house right out of the ground, property and all if you want us to, but you've got to get out of the area. That's what they should do. Hopefully there'd be a little bit less fear in these zones. That's about all. Peace out.